Hi there. Today's question that we're going to answer is, what is a community advisor? This is Pam Ostrowski, the author of It's Not That Simple, Helping Families Navigate the Alzheimer's Journey. And I am a one-on-one family caregiving consultant for those who have loved ones with dementia. And recently, I was talking with a colleague of mine, and she was telling me about someone who was a caregiver. They were frustrated. It was time, she thought, to start looking for communities, but she was overwhelmed. She was also out of state. So she had no way to know what our local communities were like, what the pros, what the cons, any of that stuff. So I thought, I'll make a video of this with my guest and expert, Angela Deabler, who is actually a community advisor, among many other things. So Angela, tell us a little bit more about you and about what you do from a community advisor perspective.
Sure. So my name is Angela Deabler. I am a local community advisor. I help families find places for next level care when they can't take care of them at home anymore. And it's everything from independent living to assisted living and memory care, and even skilled nursing. And at times I've helped families find a very independent living in the realm of like low income housing and low income
Oh,
care.
okay.
So,
Wow. So you run the gamut. So,
yes.
what is it that you could do? So let's use my scenario because I was a caregiver for my mom and dad, and I've worked with many people who have loved ones they're caring for. What do you do to help a caregiver find the right community? Because I know a lot of people want to do it on their own, and I do not understand that. I was all about using a community advisor.
Yeah. Well, and there's different levels of advisors out there. So they could call one of the big places. I won't name names, but those big places, uh, they're just call centers, right? And so what
Right.
they're going to do is basically sell your information to all these communities, and then you're going to get bombarded from that. So what I do and what those who do this well in our profession is they sit down and they assess the situation with you. So they talk about what are the needs of your loved one, what are their preferences, um, what are what do you think the future looks like? How can we plan maybe a couple years ahead? What are your financial situation? What is that like? Um, is there a location that's important to you? And so we go through all of these things. We do a pretty deep assessment, and then we create a short list. And so how I really help is that I'm creating that short list of communities to provide options, and whether it's independent living, assisted living, memory care, that will fit that what the family needs. Um, in addition, it takes a lot of load off of the family because I'm going to schedule tours, and I'm also going to accompany the family on those tours. And so that's a big differentiator too. Many times, if you do a call center and there are some in-person agents that will not tour, you want somebody who's going to tour with you because you want somebody who's going to ask those hard questions that maybe you're not thinking about, right? What's the food like, right? What are the activities like? I had one family I worked with, and they really wanted to understand what was the escape plan like if there was a fire or something happened at the community. So those are really important questions that I'm able to ask and I'm able to keep track of because when you're touring, you're trying to absorb the environment,
Yeah,
right? So I
exactly.
want to
Yeah.
make that easy for you.
Yeah, and I think that because I did use a community advisor, and guys, in case you don't know, you might see this person under the label of placement agent. Angela and I both agree that that is a misnomer, and that really they're community advisors. And one of the biggest things that I found helpful in using a community advisor is that they know the ins, the outs, the pros, and the cons. So rather than me looking up and going to tour and talking with 12 different communities to find the perfect one, and by the way, none of them are perfect, but some of them are a better fit. And that's what Angela does combine those two things together. But I thought it saved me a tremendous amount of time. And the other thing was I felt like I had somebody in my corner. So
Mhm.
it wasn't me up against the salesperson at the independent living or assisted living. It was me and my community advisor and that individual asking questions that, and we talked about price and negotiation and all of those things. So it was just really comforting to have someone on my side because my parents couldn't be because they were the people in need and they weren't 100% on, my dad wasn't 100% on board. So, so what questions should someone ask when talking with a community advisor?
Yeah, when they're talking to a community advisor, they're going to want to know a few things about that person's background, right? You want to know how did they get into this role? Why are they in this role? I think the why is very important um, because especially if those who have had personal experience understand how challenging this can be, which is how I got into it. And then you also want to understand, what is their code of ethics that they're operating within, right? And so there's a couple of national associations that someone who's in this role can belong to, the National Placement and Referral Alliance. They can also be a certified senior advisor. And so they actually have websites where someone can go and locate a person in their area that they might want to work with.
Oh, good.
But you're going to want to know that information about their experience, their ethics, and then you really want to understand their process, right? They should all be taking copious notes on a really great intake. A good intake is probably going to last an hour or more. Um, and then do they actually tour with you? You want to know, are they going with you? Are they going to be asking the questions with you? Um, and then you're also going to want to understand what assistance are they going to provide during the move-in process? Are they going to
Oh, I
provide
didn't even think about that.
yeah, they could provide some resources, but they may be providing the help with the move-in process itself, if you need it, right? How are they going to help complete the paperwork? Or are they? Do you need that help? And then you want to understand what is their follow-through, right? Because some kind of just walk away, but you want somebody who's going to follow through up with your family and make sure that your loved one is thriving there. And then if not, they can actually communicate to the community. They can help you understand who to talk to and when to talk to them if there's some questions or concerns.
It's almost like an advocate when you get to that point. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. I think a good advisor is an advocate in this situation, right? This is something new. It's not something you do every day. And so you want somebody who's been around that block that can help you, um, to your point, advocate for your loved one and advocate for you as a family.
Oh, I love that. And I, that whole role of community advisor was just starting whenever we were first looking. So it was kind of the school of hard knocks on our side of things.
Yeah.
So this sounds like an amazing service. So I'm going to ask the question of that's the elephant in the room. How much does it cost to hire a community advisor?
A good community advisor is typically going to be free.
Oh, okay. No charge.
Um, yeah, there's not going to be a charge to the family. And that's because most communities, advisors are paid a commission by the community. Okay. And we're in the state of Colorado. The state of Colorado has a law that I actually, any of us have to disclose that to the family, and we need to have an acknowledgement. And many communities will ask us for proof that we've let you know that. So it's typically a free service. But you also, this caveats a few other things. When you talk to an advisor, you want to understand, are they only going to show you communities that they get paid for
That's
or
a
that they
really
get
good
paid
one point.
high
Yeah.
for,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Luckily, in the state of Colorado, most of the commissions that are paid are relatively similar across communities. So they really don't have an advantage to go try to find you the highest, whatever you're going to pay the highest pay for.
Hmm.
But many advisors have the process set up for them, that they will show you places that maybe they don't get paid for, but may be
Yeah.
a good fit for you. And so they may
Yeah.
come to a private pay agreement with you, or they may have a different process within their business for that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really strong argument for having that conversation, putting in that list of questions you're going to ask a community advisor. How do you get paid? And if you don't like the way they're getting paid, can you negotiate it? Because it is your business, right? So are you able
Yes.
to, okay, good. Well, so that leaves the door open then in a way. You don't have to feel like, oh, well, your memory care is pretty expensive. It's all the word expensive is so relative, but it's the highest,
Yeah.
right? So it's skilled nursing is the most expensive, and then memory care with full services, and then assisted, and then independent. And so it becomes a challenge sometimes to not feel like, oh, we're going to the most expensive place. Well, by the way, usually the most expensive places have the best care, have full nursing 24/7, have a lot more
Yes.
activities. And you have to look at it from a perspective of what you get for your money, right? So do you do a lot of that kind of conversation with your clients?
Yes, we do. I, and on the flip side of that, there are some great places that may not be the most expensive, but I know have some of the best care, right? So
Hmm.
as an advisor, I really look at how long have the staff been there? How long have the ownership been there, right? Because honestly, these places are businesses, so they flip ownership quite a bit. So I look at all of those types of things. I look at how have they been operating recently, and have people who have been there been happy, so that I can provide that feedback, and maybe put them at certain levels on the list, right? Because I want to
Makes
make sure that
sense.
you're finding the right fit for that loved one.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I have a slightly controversial stance on location, and you mentioned location.
Hmm.
When to me, I wanted my mom to have the best care possible, and I didn't care if I had to drive a half hour. It wasn't a big deal to me. It's probably a big deal to some people. Where do you stand on that? Like, how do you balance location with quality of care? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I usually, so we're in Colorado again, so we have over 700, almost 700 communities. Um, I think that's got to be a question for every family. In my
Hmm.
personal situation where we have a loved one, I drive 45 minutes to see my loved one.
Hmm.
Um, the location wasn't optimal, but it was available when we needed it, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes it
That's
becomes
the other
a
thing, right?
necessity.
Availability.
Yeah. Um, I mean, if there's something close by and you think you're going to be visiting on a regular basis, definitely a location is important. If this is something that you're like, I'm not going to be visiting as often as I would hope to, but I know this care is amazing. It's a balance that the family has to make, and your loved one needs to should be part of that decision making if they can.
Right. Unless you're in a late stage dementia situation where they can't really participate.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that sounds amazing. And I think that the person that I started this whole story off with, she was actually frustrated because she came out, toured a bunch of locations on herself on her own, which this is a family member. And then when the time has come now, they're all full.
Mhm.
So that's something else for, families to bear in mind is you may find the best place for your person that you believe is the best on your own,
Yeah.
but then you don't know when they have availability or if they don't, or whether there's a waiting list and how long the waiting list is. So you kind of know about all that stuff. Is that right?
Yes. Because I'm in and out of these communities on a regular basis, I'm finding out what does the look like, and is there a way that we can move up that wait list? I see all different types of wait lists. Sometimes it costs to be on the wait list, sometimes it doesn't cost. So I
Mm.
keep notes on all of those communities that I become very familiar with to make sure. Another challenge that really happens is, and this happens more frequently than you would ever imagine, is that a family has a plan. We come up with where we're going, everybody's on board, and
Mhm.
then when it actually comes time to move, something happens, and now we need a different level of care, right? So
Oh,
maybe we were
yeah.
going to go into independent living, but now we have to go into assisted living or to memory care.
Yeah. Didn't think about
Um,
that. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so then we have to start our search over a little bit.
Yeah. But you've got all that covered. So that's the other thing is if you do need to pivot, it's like, okay, well, what does assisted living look like? And what are the best ones that we need to go see now? And you'd have that expertise to know, well, I would recommend this, this, and this based on what I know of the situation and your loved one and your family and your needs. So that's a beautiful thing. And I really thank you for providing this service. So I appreciate it. And hopefully our audience now understands more about what community advisors do, that they're available throughout the country, the national placement, and I got to get it right. We're in Referral Alliance, NPRA. If you just look up NPRA, or you can find more about the certifications, code of ethics. They actually have their code of ethics listed on the website. And Angela, you're a member, as I know. And that's just a really important thing to know that you're working with somebody who's invested their time, who's committed to the ethics of your well-being and your loved one's well-being, and is going to be open and honest and knowledgeable. So those are, kind of the top points. Anything else, Angela?
I don't think so. I think the time spent to find a good placement or not placement, but a community advisor is well spent, because you're going to get to know that person and they're going to get to know you pretty intimately, or at least your situation pretty intimately.
Someone you're
So
comfortable with
I think
then.
it's yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you for your time today. I
All right.
appreciate it. And thank all of you for having a listen. We appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions. You can just email me at pam@itsnotthatsimple.com. And Angela, if they have questions for you or are local to Colorado, how can they reach you?
I'm Angela Deabler. I own ViewPath Senior Services.
It's
So you can
ViewPath,
reach out
View,
to Angela at ViewPath
VIEW.
Senior Services. Yes,
Okay. All right.
VIEWPATH Senior Services. And my email is Angela at viewpathseniorservices.com.
Great. All right. And I'll put that in the notes, guys, so you can always go in and hit more and you'll be able to see that contact information for Angela. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Angela, you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.